Okay, in this lecture series, this is the fourth video, and today I'm going to start a new topic. The name of the topic is hypothesis, testing of hypothesis. To make decision regarding a population on the basis of a sample observation is called statistical hypothesis. So whenever we have this population and we take a sample of certain size, reasonably big, and from that sample, if I if we can take some decision on population, then that decision is called hypothesis. So here the definition: a claim or statement about a population parameter like mean, aim, standard, population variance, sigma square, small p, that is population proportion, etc. They are the uh, population parameter, any measure from the population. Okay, so look at this diagram. This is a population, and from that population, sample is a subset of that population, and we will make a statement on the sample uh, by observing the sample, and we will create a decision on population. In inferential statistics, we study a sample or samples and use the result to generalize the entire population or populations. Okay, here is an example. Suppose average age of all students in a college is 22. So that is population. So mean equal to 22, population mean is 22. Okay, since it is equality type hypothesis, we refer it to as null hypothesis. So null hypothesis contains equal sign. So we will denote null hypothesis by H0, and m equal to 22 is your decision. The complement or opposite of the null hypothesis is alternative hypothesis. We will denote it as H1, and it is m not equal to 22. So m can be less than 22, m can be greater than 22. So we use that hypothesis as two-tailed test, as in the alternative hypothesis, mean could be less than or greater than 22. So we can assign alternative hypothesis m as less than 22 and greater than 22. So individually, if I see like m is less than 22, when it is alternative, corresponding null hypothesis would be m greater than equal to 22. Look, when it is h0, there is equal sign, and that setup is called a left-tailed test. And then again, if I set as h1 as m greater than 22 and h0 as m less equal to 22, that setup is right tail test. Why it is left? Because the alternative hypothesis m less than 22, that is why it is left. And why it is right? It is also because of h1, m greater than 22. Now when we conduct hypothesis test, we primarily trying to decide whether or not the null hypothesis h0 is rejected. In other words, h1 is accepted. So we will concern about the null hypothesis, the rejection of the null hypothesis, in what region it is rejected. To determine the measurement, to determine the when the null hypothesis is rejecting, uh, that is how much significant it is, that null hypothesis will be rejecting. That is called significant level. uh, Suppose we have 0.0 point significant level, commonly used alpha values. Alpha is 0.05. When it is 0.05, that means we are having only 5% of the total area uh, of rejecting the null hypothesis. Let me repeat it. If alpha equal to 0.05, That is, if I say alpha level significance, that means we are having only 5% of the total area. Area means it's area under the probability density curve. It is, we will see later that it is actually normal distribution or t distribution according to the problem. So alpha value, if it is 0.05, that means it is 5% of the total area will be your will be the area where the null hypothesis will be rejected. The significant level helps to specify the region of rejection of null hypothesis. That is, we can specify the region where the null hypothesis should be rejected. Fair enough. That region where the null hypothesis is rejected, that region is called critical region. So, in the problem, we will look for the critical region. Okay, so let me give you the definition. The critical region. We have some idea about two-dimensional space, three-dimensional space, and if we take a sample of size n, we can consider it is n-dimensional space, and it is a point in n-dimensional space, x1, x2, dot dot dot, xn. It's a typical point. So set up all points where that condition satisfied, that null hypothesis is rejected. Set up all points, it will form a region. That region is called critical region, and we denote W as a critical region. Okay, so as we defined earlier, what is two-tailed test? Uh, two-tailed test, something like H1. H1 as a parameter is not equal to type, not equal to, that means less than or greater than involved in H1. So whenever we are having alpha level significance, the critical region will be something like that. It will, the figure is uh, standard normal distribution. If it is alpha level significance, we will divide alpha into two parts. Suppose we are having uh, 5% significant level, that is alpha equal to 0.05. On that case, alpha by 2 equal to 0.025, and 5% of the total area will be the critical region, as I already told you, if we are having 5% significance level or alpha equal to 0.05. So minus infinity to minus 1.96, the area will be 2.5%, and from 1.96, from the point 1.96 to infinity, the area will be 2.5%. Total will be 5%. That is the critical region when your test is two-tailed test. Okay, if it is one-tailed, precisely it is a left-tailed test, when null hypothesis is rejected. So it's basically, suppose 5%. 5% means alpha is 0.05. That means 5% of the total area is as critical region. So whenever we are calculating the 5% of the total area and it is left, so we will count from minus infinity to that point where 5% of the total area has been covered. The point is known as minus 1.645. This data will be given in your question. You should know the concept that whenever two-sided alpha level significance, whenever one-sided alpha level significance, then what could be the diagram? And this is right tail test. Whenever alpha level significance, that means alpha into 100% area has been covered from the point, from the point that you have to decide from that point to the infinity. Next, once the critical region has been fixed, we need to calculate the test statistic. If the test statistics fall in the critical region, then we will say the null hypothesis null H naught is rejected. We will see these things in the problem that we will solve just after this theory. If the test statistic not fall in the critical region, then we say that null hypothesis H0 is not rejected as not rejected. Null hypothesis is not rejected. That means the alternative hypothesis is accepted. Okay, what is test statistic? To test the possible acceptance or rejection of the null hypothesis, we have to take the help from of a statistic whose sampling distribution is known. By evaluation the statistic value, we can decide that the hypothesis will be accepted or rejected. Mainly we will concern about the null hypothesis, as I already told you, and from the problem we can decide what will be the test statistics based on the large sample or small sample, or standard deviation is given or known or unknown, something like that. Okay, here's an example. The example will clear the picture. The mean age of college students in Siliguri is 23. Okay, this is your population, and population mean is 23. A random sample of 42 students has mean age of 23.8. Suppose their ages are normally distributed with a population standard deviation sigma equal to 2.4. Can we infer at alpha equal to 0.05, that is your significance level, the population mean has changed? Okay, the question is about population mean. Remember the fact. So what is given to you? It is given that first of all you need to decide what is null hypothesis and what is your alternative hypothesis. So here, according to the problem, n will be 42, very large enough. It is greater than 30. We can take it as a large samples. Sample mean x bar, it is given 23.8. Yes, population mean is 23, and population standard deviation is 2.4, which is known. So whenever standard deviation is known, so we can we can take the problem as we can take the statistic Z, standard normal distribution Z. Okay, the question is on the population mean. As I already told you, and look at the last line. Can we infer at alpha equal to 0.05 the population mean has changed? So we should decide that what will be your H0 and what will be your H1. Okay, H0 will be m equal to 23. That is, it is your population mean. Our main concern will be population mean. Is it going to change or not? So H0 m equal to 23. H1 will be m equal to 20. M not equal to 23. Though it is mistaken. So H0 will be m equal to 23. H1 will be m not equal to 23.8. M not equal to 23.8. That will be your H1 alternative hypothesis. So our significance level alpha equal to 0.05. Acha, alpha equal to 0.05, that means only 5% area, 5% of the total area has been covered as critical region. Okay, look at the problem. M equal to 23 and M not equal to 23. It is not. It is actually mistaken. It is either m equal to 23 and m not equal to 20. Not, it's not 23.8. It's m equal to 23 and m not equal to 23. So look at the problem. The problem is actually two two-tailed test, because m not equal to 23. Two-tailed test, and 5% of the area is known as critical region, and we can fit it in standard normal distribution. Now next, if I fit as standard normal distribution, 5% area will be covered. As I already told you that alpha by 2 will be 0.05 and in the left, and alpha by 2 0.025 will be in the right. And the point where so 95% area will be covered, as we know from the normal distribution. We have solved so many problems from the normal distribution, and from that knowledge we know that from minus 1.96 to plus 1.96, the area covered is 95%. So rest of the area will be 5%. That is what we need. So the point, the critical region is given by what? Okay, let me finish. The critical region is given by minus infinity to minus 1.96 union 1.96 to infinity, and the area will be 5% of the total area. That will be your critical region. Okay, next. First of all, we need to conduct for the test of M. According to the question, the test may be Z test, maybe T test. In later we will see chi-square test. Uh, so test can be Z test or T test. In this case, obviously it will be Z test. Anyway, one thing you should note, that if the population standard deviation is known, we can conduct Z test. And in this question, population standard deviation was known. Otherwise, we should go for T test. For large sample, the sample size is greater than 30. We can also go for large sample. We can also go for Z test, where population standard deviation is known or unknown. So basically, what is if the sample size is greater than 30, we are not going for population standard deviation, whether it can be known, it can be unknown. But if the sample size is less than 30, and then we will look for the next step, that population standard deviation is known or unknown. If it is known, then we will go for Z test. If it is unknown, then we will go for T test. That's the story. Okay, in this problem, the sample size is 49. Fair enough, it is greater than 30. Doesn't matter that some population standard deviation is known or unknown, but still population standard deviation known in this problem. So we can easily apply Z test. Let us fit Z equal to x bar by m divided by sigma by root n, the old formula. By central limit theorem, this will be standard normal distribution. Now just put the value of x bar, m, sigma and root n. We will have Z statistic value will be 2.16, and that Z is called the statistic. Now just see that 2.16 is in the critical region or not. In the above diagram, the critical region, as I already told you, Z is less than or minus 1.96 or Z is greater than 1.96. So the 2.16, where is 2.16? 2.16 belongs to the critical region. So H0 is rejected. Remember that null hypothesis is rejected. So you can say that is your conclusion, that there is enough evidence that the mean age has been changed if the significance level alpha equal to 0.05. That's the answer of this question. Look at the same problem. There is just one change, alpha equal to 0.02. In the previous problem, alpha was, yeah, in the same problem the alpha was 0.05, and now the alpha is 0.02. It's the same problem. The mean age of the college student in Siliguri is 23. The random sample of 42 students has a mean of 23.8. Suppose their age are normally distributed with population standard deviation sigma equal to 2.4. Can we infer, etc., etc.? Okay. Directly we will go for the solution, and one data I have given, that you should remember, if something wrong has happened in your exam, then you should remember the fact that it is normal distribution table, and commonly used this confidence interval. What is the meaning of this table? I just clarify these things. When Z running from minus 6.45 to plus 6.45, the area is covered 90%. When Z runs from minus 1.96 to plus 1.96, the area covered is 95%. And when Z runs from minus 2.326 to plus 2.326, the area will be 98%. When Z runs from minus 2.576 to plus 2.576, the area will be 99%. Now, from the problem, we will test for M. We can conduct Z test or T test. Okay, let us speed this. You should note that everything is same, only the difference is alpha value. Just so that Z statistic Z will be 2.116, just like the previous problem, and but the critical region, it is different critical region, since look at the alpha value is 0.02, so only 2% 2% region will be the critical region. That means we can have 98% region from the point 2.326 to plus 2.326. So you can easily draw the diagram, and from that diagram you can conclude that the critical region will be given as Z less than minus 2.326 or Z greater than 2.326. So look at the statistic value, it is 2.16. 2.16, this time 2.16 does not belongs to the critical region, so here H0 will not be rejected. So we can say that it is the conclusion of this problem. We can say that there is enough evidence that mean age never be changed if the significance level alpha equal to 0.02. So everything depending on the significance level. If the same problem, in the same problem, we were saying that there is enough evidence if alpha equal to 0.05. Now this time we are saying that there is enough evidence the mean never be changed. In the previous equation, the mean can be changed. Okay. Now, it is another problem. A random sample of 27 observation from a large population having mean 22 and standard deviation is 4.8. Can we conclude that alpha equal to 0.01, that the population mean is significantly below 24? Given t 0.01 equal to minus 2.479, it is a small hint that whenever small t 0.01 is given, that means you should note that it is a t distribution, and t distribution is very similar to the normal distribution. So let me go to the solution directly. Collect the data. N equal to 27, fairly small size data. Population mean M equal to 22. Okay, from the problem, population standard deviation is 4.8. Okay, population standard deviation is given, so you can use t distribution, you can use Z distribution as well. Sample mean x bar equal to 22. Seeing the last, you can easily, okay, look at the last line. Alpha equal to 0.01, that the population mean is significantly below 24. Okay, below 24, we will set below 24 as h1 and let greater equal to 24 as h0. So in this way, students are advised to fit the h1 first of all and then fit the h0. Once you have fit the h1 and h0, then the problem will be easy to solve. So it is one-sided test. You can see it is one-sided, and in particular it is left-tailed test. So critical region will be, look at this data, alpha equal to 0.01, so it will be 1% of the total region. So 1% and it is left, so we should start from minus infinity. We will end at a point where 1% will be covered. Look at this data. T 0.01 equal to minus 2.479. That means it indicates that if I start from minus infinity and if I end at minus 2.479, the total area will be covered is only 1%. Okay, it is the explanation. The critical region will be this. Let me fit the data. Okay, I am using Z distribution. Actually, this small t has the Z distribution. We should use instead of t, Z. Let us fit Z equal to x bar minus m by sigma by root n. It's normal distribution. Look at this problem. The problem has been given reasonably small data, reasonably small sample size, n equal to 27. Still, we are approximating using standard normal distribution, because The only reason is population standard deviation 4.8 is known. If population standard deviation was unknown, then we cannot use this statistic Z. Okay, so Z equal to x bar minus m by sigma by root n. You should find out Z, and Z is minus 2.165, does not belongs to the CR, critical region. So your conclusion will be there is no enough evidence that population mean is less than 24. Okay, now the next topic, it will be there are two types of error, type 1 error and later it is type 2 error. What is type 1 error? Type 1 error is actually alpha, so the significance level. Let me discuss it. What is type 1 error? When null hypothesis H0 is rejected, that is alternative hypothesis H1 is accepted. So what is alpha? Alpha is probability of type 1 error, which is defined as probability rejecting of H0 when H0 is true. That means in probability language, probability x belongs to W. What was W? W was the critical region. X belongs to W, and x was a typical point from the critical region. X belongs to W when the null hypothesis is true. What is type 2 error? Type 2 error is when null hypothesis H0 is accepted, that is the alternative hypothesis H1 is rejected, but H0 is false. That means beta is defined as type 2, that is probability of accepting H0, that is actually the area is outside the critical region. Probability of accepting H0 when H0 is false. That means probability x belongs to W complement, all the points should not be in the critical region, it will be outside the critical region. X belongs to W bar when H1 is theta 1. That means alternative hypothesis is true. There's a problem, and the problem is to find out type 1 error and type 2 error. Pretty simple. Let P denote the probability of getting head when a given coin is tossed once. Okay, it's not half. Probability. Suppose that the hypothesis, definitely it is null hypothesis. You can see it is equal sign. H0 P equal to 0.5 is rejected in favor of H1 P equal to 0.6 if 10 trials result 7 or more head. Okay. First of all, let me clear the problem. Suppose the hypothesis H0 is rejected in favor of H1 if 10 trials result 7 or more head. Calculate the type 1 error and type 2 error. Okay, so x denote the number of heads in 10 tosses. So a coin has been tossed 10 times and x is the number of heads. Can you remember what is the distribution? It is binomial. Binomial 10 comma p. X follows binomial 10 comma p. Now what is type 1 error? Type error means x will be from the critical region and the null hypothesis will be true. And if null hypothesis will be true, we can take p as 0.5. H0 is rejected. The critical region means for all the points where we can reject the null hypothesis, and H0 is true. That means probability when null hypothesis will be rejected, it is clearly written that if 7 or more head, that means 7 or more head given null hypothesis is true. So it's calculation, just put the p equal to 0.5 and just calculate. The answer will be 11 by 64. Type 2 error. Type 2 error is p x belongs to W bar and H0 is true. Now if H0 is true, consequently H1 is false, and when H1 is, it is actually wrong, H0 is true, the type 2 error will be H0 is accepted, and when H1 is true, will be false. This will be false. H0 will be false. In the first line, it will be probability x belongs to W complement. H0 is false. I repeat, type 2 error equal to probability x belongs to W bar given H0 is false. It means probability H0 is accepted, x belongs to W bar, it means null hypothesis accepted. Okay, x belongs to W means null hypothesis rejected. You need to remember the definition. Probability x belongs to W bar means null hypothesis accepted when alternative hypothesis is true. When H1 is true, nothing but in the see the question, it is p equal to 0.6, and when H0 is accepted, okay, we are solving it is 1 minus, so 1 minus probability H0 is rejected and H1 is true. So we know when H0 is rejected, when 7 or more heads. Look at the previous problem where we know that it is given in the problem that a null hypothesis will be rejected if 7 or more heads will appear. So just calculation after that, and the answer is 0.61772. And the problem based on type 1 error and type 2 error is very important. One more problem to test the unbiasedness of a die. It's die, it thrown 6 times, and it is accepted that the unbiasedness, if not more than 1/6, is obtained. Find the probability of type 1 error. Okay, to test the unbiasedness of a die, we don't know yet a die is biased or unbiased. So far we have solved problem based in the probability course. All the die we have taken, they are all unbiased. Now look, here we are testing the unbiasedness. To test the unbiasedness of a die, it thrown 6 times and is accepted that the unbiasedness, if not more than 1/6, is obtained. Okay, so in the solution, x be the number of 6 thrown in a die and p be the probability of getting 1/6. We know that whenever whatever it is, it may be 6, it may be 5, it may be 1, it may be 2, the probability of getting 6 will be 1/6 since it is unbiased. So for an unbiased die, p will be 1/6. So the null hypothesis H0 will be given by p will be 1/6. Our target will be to reject that null hypothesis. So if x is greater than 1, we can reject the null hypothesis. So H0 will be rejected means x is greater than 1. So clearly appearance of 6, number of occurrence of the appearance of the 6 is clearly binomial distribution with parameter 6 and p. Therefore, the probability of type 1 error when x belongs to W, it is given that H0 is true, that is null hypothesis is true. That is null hypothesis rejected, but null hypothesis is true. So null hypothesis rejected, that means probability x equal to 0 or probability x equal to 1. Only for that condition we can say the die is unbiased. It is given probability equal to 1/6. Now this simple calculation. This lecture is going to be very important. Students are advised to pay extra attention to follow this lecture video. Thank you very much.